On the phone is Garry McCullouch. He is a regional spill engineer out of the Watertown office for DEC, and he has been on the scene since early last night. How do you go about cleaning up 9,000 gallons of gasoline?
Okay, well, first of all, I think I want to thank the City of Utica Fire Department and the State Office of Fire Prevention and Control. They really did a great job of controlling the scene and offloading the tanker and making everything safe for everybody. And then after they're done, our work kind of begins. We had tried to block up drainage to the creek. Basically, that interchange there is like a big clover leaf where the road runs around the edges. In the middle is kind of like a bowl-type depression, and then each of those bowls is interconnected with drainage that ultimately runs to the creek. So we stopped up the drainage to the creek, and we started to vacuum up spilled gasoline. It's like a huge shop vac on wheels, and we collected as much of the liquid gasoline as we could overnight. We collected about 3,000, maybe 3,500 gallons of gasoline out of the about 10,000 gallons we believe spilled. After that, the gasoline kind of soaks into the ground. We're out excavating large test pits today, an excavation into the ground down to the groundwater table. The gasoline will percolate through the soil till it hits the groundwater. We're hoping to recover some more liquid gasoline out of that hole right off the groundwater. Once that is complete, a lot of gasoline ends up soaked in the soil itself, where it can slowly start to leach into the groundwater and ultimately to the creek and surface water. So in order to stop that, we excavate the soil that's grossly contaminated with gasoline. So it's kind of a three-part process. We stop the flow, we suck up what we can, and we dig up the grossly contaminated soil.
Oh my goodness. What is the time frame on this?
Well, we definitely want to move fast. We've had great cooperation from the truck company owner. The faster we move, the more we're able to prevent any possible impacts to public health or in the environment. And it also actually makes it cheaper in the long run. We spend a lot of money in a few days, but the longer you let that sit in the ground, the more the gas has a chance to move around. It just gets more difficult and more expensive to clean up. So they're going at it really hard, probably 4 or 5 days of digging and trying to remove as much of the gasoline-contaminated soil as we can.
So it did get into the drainage area?
Yes, it did. But that actually works well in a way because we know where it's going that way. When it's seeping into the ground and kind of moving through the soil, it's a little harder to get to. When it's running through the drainage area, we're able to kind of block it up. We can construct a dam where the oil floats on top and the water flows underneath, so we hold back the gasoline as the water flows away.
Right.
So we're able to kind of control things that way.
Okay, so in that situation, you kind of have the upper hand. My next question is about the smell. The hydrocarbon is actually considered a carcinogen. Is that safe for the people living right there in that area with that smell?
Well, during the incident last night, the smell also tells us that there are volatile compounds that are also flammable. Mm-hmm. So as part of the initial effort last night, the fire department placed a fire suppressant foam over the gasoline and water to stop the generation of vapors that could cause a fire hazard or could cause an inhalation hazard. In that first 24 hours, while we're getting things under control, that you may have a fair amount of odor. But once it starts to soak into the ground, we're able to kind of manage it a little better. And really, I don't think you may smell some gasoline as you drive by, but a little bit of gasoline goes a long way in terms of odor. And it's, I don't think, really significantly different than when you're filling your car with gasoline. Gas station,
right.
Smell it for a few minutes, and you get some fresh air, and it doesn't really bother you.
Right. Okay, so you're thinking you're going to have this whole thing wrapped up safely within a week?
The initial effort. I mean, there
Yeah.
may be some long-term kind of final efforts, and obviously we'll have to restore the area that we excavated, and maybe come back in the spring and plant some more grass in order to stabilize the soil, so you don't have a lot of runoff of sediment and that type of thing, or erosion of the roadside. But the initial containment effort, we're hoping to have done in a few days.
Once you're done, you never have to retest the soil or anything like that to make sure it's
Well, there may
100.
be some longer-term testing and follow-up,
Yeah,
but in
I see.
terms of that big effort to excavate a whole lot of contaminated soil and get it out of there, we're going to try to do that quickly.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time. This is Garry McCullouch. He is a regional spill engineer out of Region 6, DEC in Watertown. Thanks so much for your time today, Garry.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.